everybody. It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Zoom again, and this time we are here with Dominik of Downfall of Gaia. Thank you for being here. It is great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Anytime, man. Anytime. It's so great to have you here. Your last album, Ethic of Radical Finitude, was a fantastic album, and now we're getting an epic follow up to with Silhouettes of Disgust. Is this more or less a continuation of Ethic of Radical Finitude in a way, or is this almost kind of like a new beginning for Downfall of Gaia?
I think it's both. Maybe in parts. Yeah. It's we continue where we stopped on the recent record, but it's also somehow we look back to our roots and yeah, we it's a blend of both worlds where we stopped on our last album and of course where we started with all of this, our roots. So we just try to combine two worlds, yeah, the things, how they progressed and the path we took during the last years combined with, yeah, our roots. We wanted to have our roots more in the sound with our new album. Yeah.
hmm Well, because I do consider the music of Downfall of Gaia to be relatively experimental with your, very atmospheric elements, but your sort of like post blackened elements and, your sort of like rather sludgy elements in a way. So it's fair to say like trying new things is almost part of the songwriting process for Downfall, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we always try to add few little things to each record that we didn't do before. I mean, I guess we found our sound somehow, and we won't reinvent ourselves too crazy. But yeah, there's always a little bit tiny new things on each record. This makes it interesting for us. Yeah.
Mhm. Does it ever start off with a preconceived vision for how you want a song or an album to sound like, or is it a very like improvisational process?
I mean, for this record, we talked about everything before. We talked about the whole direction and where we want to go because we were kind of in some kind of hole. We had no idea how to continue. Where should we go? How should the next record sound? We felt like a little bit like, yeah, running around in circles. So yeah, we talked about all of this in detail before. So, but usually it's more like, yeah, we start and we see where it goes. But this time we had, yeah, some kind of, yeah, bigger plan, master plan for this one. Yeah, before we started with everything.
Yeah, I mean, was the evolution of Downfall of Gaia, because when you compare like Epos to Suffocating in the Swarm of Cranes to Eon unveils the Throne of Decay, like it almost seems like that there is like a constant evolution through it. Was this always the vision for Downfall of Gaia?
It just happened. It's so tough for me to talk about this because I don't feel the changes or the evolution that dramatically because I was part of it for every small step and we never thought about all of this too much. It just happened. It was just a pretty organic process from record to record and yeah, things just grew the way, yeah, they grew, yeah, without any bigger plan in our heads. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that too because like I know that with Downfall of Gaia, like you have a very not only like a very experimental sound, but I feel like your albums are very thought provoking in a way. Does a concept or a lyrical idea maybe help dictate the direction of the sound in a way, or do you need music before any lyrics come to fruition?
There's always the music first, and then when the record is almost done, we start to think about lyrics, yeah, and the concept and whatever. But there's always just the music is always first, yeah.
Does do you want the album to be open to interpretation, or when you do have the concept and you do think of it, you try to get the listener like to sort of see things from your point of view and be just as intrigued by the story or the meaning as the material itself?
Yeah, I mean, our lyrics are pretty metaphorically written, so I mean, there's enough room for everyone to take their own story out of it, read their own story into it. The lyrics, you know what I mean? Sorry, my English.
No, no, it's all good.
um, this is, yeah, I mean, for me, I always write the lyrics, but there's always something, yeah, of course, something in my head, a vision and whatever, but it can be different for everyone else, how they feel about the lyrics. It's pretty metaphorically, and I think this is pretty good. We don't want to point with our finger on something and say it's about this, it's about that. Just take it and do with it, do whatever you want to do with it. Yeah.
Are they metaphors for your own personal experiences, or are you sort of like using external sources of inspiration for what you sing about?
What do you mean exactly?
Like, are you singing about personal experiences, or are you talking about more external, sources? Like,
Yeah. I mean, there's always a little bit of some. It's not autobiographical,
yeah,
autobiographical. Yeah.
yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, but there's always a little bit of myself in the lyrics. I always need that, yeah, connection to reality. When it comes to writing lyrics, I can't just write some fairy tale stories or whatever. It's just there's always a little bit of my own private surrounding in the lyrics. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I don't normally ask like this kind of question, but like with the silhouettes of disgust in a way, with the meaning of that title, like is it almost kind of like the world around you? Because I think it's fair to say that the world has been pretty disgusting the past couple of years, always has been. But like, was the kind of like the way that the world around us has changed, or been meant to be a source of inspiration as well?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and it's yeah, you said it. It's meant like this. It's the silhouettes of disgust. It's basically everything that surrounds you on a daily basis. All of the stuff you can't get rid of. You have to play along somehow. But I mean, even if you hate it, it's there. It's all of this stuff that surrounds you. The negative things you don't have in your life, but it's there, and you can't. Yeah, you have to play along somehow. And yeah, this is what the silhouettes of disgust is about. And of course, the recent years they, yeah, had a huge amount of inspiration to all of this. Yeah,
Yeah, when we are at our worst, art tends to be at its best, right?
yeah.
Yep. Um, but when it comes to like the writing, was it easy? Do you find it easier to come up with ideas when you're with your bandmates or in the company of your bandmates, or is it better to come up with ideas when you're more alone? Isolation being such a great fuel for creativity.
I think it's so and so. I mean, we don't meet in a rehearsal room or stuff like that. Everyone's working on the stuff at home alone in the first place, and then step by step things are growing. We put things together like a puzzle. Um, but yeah, I mean, our drummer, he's living in New York, so I mean, we can't go into the rehearsal room. It's not happening. And also, I'm living in Berlin. The other two guys are living in Hamburg, so we are kind of spread. And yeah, everyone. I mean, we start with the songwriting. Peter and me, we take care of this, and we start with the guitars, writing demos and whatever. But everyone, the both of us, we are working alone, and then we exchange ideas after we, yeah, finished a demo or whatever. But it's good to work alone because you can focus more on, I don't know, your own stuff instead of always the annoying blah blah from the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should get a member in Australia, and just to make it more complicated.
Yeah, we have a few friends there. Maybe they want to join for something. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that your drummer Mike is in So Hideous, one of New York's
Yeah.
own bands. Which is also really cool. I know he's one of the more newer bands to have come into Downfall, or new members to have come into Downfall of Gaia. I know he came in 2014. But when he joined, being that he has played with so many bands outside of So Hideous, did him joining also allow some new styles and new elements to come in as well?
Yeah, I mean, Mike is definitely bringing his own sound into the band. I mean, when we write the demos, Peter and me, of course, there's an idea in our head how things should sound. Or can you put a blast beat here and could you put a D beat there and stuff like that? Pretty simple things. but Mike definitely puts it on another level with all of his with his technical skills and the whatever. I'm not a drummer. All of this crazy thing that is stuff that is going on the drums. So yeah, he's what was the question again? I'm
You
sorry.
answered it. You answered it just fine.
All right, all
Yeah.
right. Yeah, he's bringing a lot of his skills and style into our sound. Definitely, yeah.
Being both a guitarist and a vocalist, do you express yourself with different like does your voice and your instrument express different sides of you in a way? Does one say one thing about you versus the other?
No, not really. I never thought about something like this. No, no, not really. No.
Fair enough. But being that you and Anton both contribute vocals to Downfall, do both of you need to kind of be in the same headspace when singing together in order to make the song kind of sound consistent?
How do you mean this?
Yeah. Do both of you just need to be feeling the same emotion when it comes to singing together? Um,
I don't know. I don't know. I think I don't know. That's tough. I mean, we are in this band from the beginning, so I guess we are kind of used to all of this already in a pretty good way, and it did fit from day one. So I guess there is some kind of connection to our sound from the both of us. So maybe it wouldn't work out with another guy who is singing, but I don't know. I never thought about this that much because it's just working. It's just working, and yeah.
Um, I also wanted to talk about one of your older albums because last year was the 10-year anniversary of it, Suffocating in the Swarm of Cranes. What was the sort of memory with the making of that album as opposed to, like, what being that that was the sophomore record? What was the sort of memories with making of that album going from Epos to that?
That was our first one on Metal Blade, and the story behind it is pretty funny because we were already done with the recordings, and we wanted to release on one of our old labels already. And then one day we had an email from Metal Blade in our Facebook messengers. So that was pretty weird, but yeah. And then the story ended that we released that album on Metal Blade. But yeah, that was also the first one, first real album with our the drummer before Mike with Hannes. So we were able to play more technical stuff as we were able to play before. And yeah, so I guess this record in particular is one of I would say it's our most important album till today because it kind of it kind of opened a few doors for us.
Yeah, definitely. I think when you compared your debut of Epos to Suffocating, there's such a evolutionary jump between the two.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, and here comes a difficult question though. How do you know when you are finished with the song?
I don't know. There are different options. It can feel like that it's finished. Can also be just I can also be just super exhausted and super annoyed by the track, so I just quit. And yeah, but usually that's also enough because when the four of us start to work on it, then in the end it's always a little bit different as the demos before. So there's so much more input coming in the end. So then the four of us we shape the final version, and then everyone's satisfied. Yeah.
And the final question I wanted to ask you is when it comes to playing live, is there at all any similarity between playing live and songwriting? Is there anything that ties the two arts together, or is it, do you consider them almost completely? Is there any similarity, or are they completely different, separate forms of expression?
To be honest, I'm not a big fan of songwriting. I hate it.
Really?
It's really exhausting. It's an I mean it's not getting easier with each record. You're right, and as I said a few minutes ago, it felt like turning around and running around in circles because I don't know, we are all not super crazy guitar Eric Clapton guys or whatever, and it's our skills are pretty limited. So it's not getting easier, and it's getting more and more exhausting the more records you release. So, and also since we are not, I mean, we are not meeting in the rehearsal room or whatever. Everyone is just sitting at home doing his own stuff. It's just, I don't know, playing live is something completely different. I mean, that's a completely different thing. So much energy and whatever. It's the thing that's the most fun, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it was different lots of years ago when we enjoyed, everything was new and we met in the rehearsal room and whatever, but these days it's just I'm not a big fan of songwriting anymore. No.
Well, I think the results are definitely worth it, as Silhouettes of Disgust is a fantastic album.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, in the end, I'm happy when it's all done and released. I'm happy,
Yeah.
but the way to arrive at that point, it's so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one more question I actually had because I did forget to ask this, but next year is going to be the 10-year anniversary of Eons Unveils the Thrones of Decay, and I just wanted to know, like what we discussed with Suffocating, what the sort of memories was behind the making of that album.
The first one with Mike, that's the major memory, and we still wrote that one in the rehearsal room, so without internet and computers and whatever. So he came over to Europe for 2 weeks and we rehearsed each day for, I don't know, 10, 12 hours or whatever, just to get this album done in the limited time frame we had. And then he flew back home and we were done with the album. So that was also pretty stressful, but fun also. Yeah, this is basically the main memory.
Yeah.
From that one.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I know that Atrophy was the first album you did with the lineup that you currently have with Downfall, right?
Atrophy? No, on that one there was Marco for Peter.
Okay.
And Peter, our guitar player, he's now back for Silhouettes.
Okay.
So yeah, a few changes. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today and for such an awesome album. Just with the release of Silhouettes of Disgust, is there anything else with Downfall of Gaia that you'd like to promote?
We will play a tiny release tour in April. It's probably not that interesting for everyone on your side of the ocean.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it. Few festivals for the second half of the year. A few other shows are in the making. We try to come back to the States. We really try to make this happen next year. But yeah, it's difficult for a band of our size. But we try to finally for this album to make it over again.
We'd love to have you here. I hope that could really happen.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Everybody, we are here with Downfall of Gaia. Be sure to check out Silhouettes of Disgust. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.